If you get pulled over by the police, let them know that you have a concealed carry pistol on you and a permit, and they ask to search your vehicle should you consent, even if you have nothing to hide. In this video, we're breaking down this question with top criminal defense attorney Tom Grieve. But first, a quick reminder, we have a gun giveaway going on right now. You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. So just click on the link in the description below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. All right, Tom, we need to talk about this consent search. That's at the police academy. They always told me, boy, if you get consent, then just search away. But cop is standing at the window of your car, and maybe you were speeding, you had a taillight out or something like that. Hand over the driver's license, a concealed carry permit, because Officer Friendly certainly said, do you have any weapons in the car? And then he utters these great words, would you mind if I search your vehicle? What do you say?
No. No, and to be clear, no, I'm not consenting to any searches
Okay.
in a polite, respectful way.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably as simple as we can make that, because me as a law enforcement officer, I can kind of spot anything in plain sight. I got, that's open to me, but I don't get the, you hear it on Criminal Minds all the time, the fishing expedition or something like that. I can't just, as a cop, search your vehicle unless I have reasonable suspicion to think that there's something going on in there. What would give me that reasonable suspicion?
Well, in order to create the detainer, and then in order to get the consent search, or even just if you get the consent search, there's the Fourth Amendment doesn't have the same sort of protections in your automobile when you're out and about as it does in your home, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's the way it ought to be. I'm just saying that's the way it is. All right. So you have a lower degree of a reasonable expectation of privacy in your automobile. To your point earlier, yes, officers, generally speaking, they can shine their flashlights in and see what's in plain view and so forth. When you said reasonable suspicion, that's making me think that you're talking about this or approaching this as a law enforcement officer to a former prosecutor or defense attorney from you're creating a detainer. Because at some point, if you're just circling the car with a flashlight for 10 minutes, there's a detainer that's been created.
Yeah.
And an argument that could come up in court is, well, was the person free to leave? And you, of course, would say, of course they were free to leave. They didn't. That was their choice.
Yeah.
So in essence, they consented to this search. It means the defense attorney or some other defense attorney might be arguing, no, they didn't feel like they had permission to leave. And as a result of you had the lights on at the squad car, you're behind them, you pulled them over, and that created the custodial situation of, well, no, they reasonably did not feel like they were free to go. Therefore, you now need to have presumably some sort of reasonable suspicion in order to extend the stop to turn it into a search situation. But of course, if you then say, can I search the car? And if the person says yes, good luck getting that search thrown out into court as a defense attorney, even if nothing really results from it, or if many things do result from it, good luck getting it thrown out unless something upstream of that, the stop was illegal, the detainer was illegal, which then preceded the request. So the easiest way to win is not to play. That's just the simple answer. And even if you got nothing to hide, there's no reason why, and we kind of fought a war about this too, the Revolutionary War, right? There's no reason why you have to consent to searches and seizures, right? You don't have to do that. That doesn't make you a bad guy. And good law enforcement officers understand how this is going, right? Good law enforcement officers are trained to ask for permission, right? They are seeking the consent. That doesn't make them bad. They're following their training. It's amazing how many drugs and how many things come out of, yeah, of course I consent to that. Oh, look what I found in the trunk, right? What were the odds, right? But a good law enforcement officer also, of course, as all law enforcement officers have, took an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution. And they understand that part of that is to defend your right to say, no, I don't consent.
Now, I'm going to give you a situation that actually happened to me prior to 2011 when the concealed carry law was enacted in the state of Wisconsin. And it taught me a valuable lesson about keeping my vehicle clean. So the interior of my vehicle tidy. I got pulled over for speeding. I was speeding. I understand that. The officer shined the flashlight into my vehicle. There was a box of ammunition and a holster on the floor. on the passenger side. As I looked over my shoulder, I saw the muzzle of his gun, and I heard the screams over and over, "Where's your gun? Where's your gun? Where's your gun?" And I didn't know what he was talking about because I didn't pay attention to the trash on the, I just tossed the stuff on the floor.
Cheap holster.
It was the floor of my vehicle, and I wasn't paying attention. Hands were on the wheel. Next thing you know, I was out of the vehicle. I was back in a squad car. Other cops arrived, and they searched my vehicle top to bottom, looking for my gun. The gun wasn't in there. I had taken that home and put it in the safe, but I had left the box of ammo and the holster. At that point, I guess reasonable suspicion had kicked in that they saw this material related to a firearm. There was no concealed carry law at the time. They wanted to know why there was a holster and ammo in the car, so they were looking for a gun.
The defense attorney to me says, I don't know if reasonable suspicion kicked in, but certainly there's probably going to be some sort of officer safety law that would allow them to at least detain you for a pat down, I would assume, and get you away from the car at a minimum. I'll give you that, at a minimum.
And I found it odd that I wasn't handcuffed in the back of the squad car. I was placed in there. Here, sit down here and stay still, that sort of thing. And then another officer arrived, and so that they weren't dealing with me individually. But all right, so that's a situation that gun owners could find themselves in. And for my part, I complied. I knew one thing only. When the yelling was going on, I'm not going to get shot right now. That's not what's going to happen. That's all I was thinking about was I'm going to sit still.
Your story is important because it introduces a line of logic and reasoning in the law that many folks are not familiar with, which is all the officer safety exemptions. Okay, these are not meant to be loopholes or end around the Constitution or the Bill of Rights or anything like that. Courts, for obvious reasons, give the officers in the streets a degree of latitude and discretion to take actions in order to protect themselves from folks who might be armed and might be willing to use their weapons nefariously against law enforcement. These are exceptions to the law, so they're generally with wiggle room. They don't exist at all places at all time. There's typically a triggering scenario or kind of a set of things that often arise, like in your story, right? It's always important to make sure that you're making it very clear, even if the officers are holding it at gunpoint, right, as in your story, that, look, if they're drawing guns on you, I'm getting out of the car, personally. I don't want any more holes.
Yeah.
It's just what that boils down to, right? But I will make it clear that I'm not consenting to any searches, right? Because I don't want some sort of prosecutor, even though I've got nothing in my car, but just the same. I don't want to be running up against an argument in court of, well, he consented when he got out of the car and left the door open.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case might be, right? So that's where, I'm going to follow the officer's demands. If they've got the guns out, they're pointed at me, and they're all yelling and surrounding the car, it's not time for I know my rights. It's time to survive that encounter so that you can move on to, God forbid, if there is a legal counter or aftermath. But that could be, not that I'm suggesting that people should sue police officers, but that could be a plaintiff's lawsuit against that municipality if they did something, and the scenario keeps going on and on and on, it gets worse and worse and worse and so forth. You're doing yourself favors by remaining calm, respectful, not swearing, following the officer's commands, but simultaneously raising your rights and making it clear you're not consenting to searches and things of that nature. And if they're going to search the car, they're going to search the car. There's no stopping that in the heat of the moment. And don't try to, for that matter. Because even if the officers are doing something illegal, if you resist it,
It's illegal to resist.
It could be illegal to resist an illegal officer action in many states. So you need to be mindful of that fact that if the officer is going to do something illegal, that's on them. You can't control that. You will be able to remedy that in court. That is why we have courts, to fix things like that later. But for right now, remain calm, remain cool, make it clear you're not consenting to anything, and raise your rights.
Outstanding. Always great insight, Tom. I really appreciate you being here and helping us with stuff like this. And folks, thank you for watching all the way to the end of this video. Quick reminder, we have a gun giveaway going on, and it ends really soon. All you have to do is click the link below and reveal which brand new gun you could win. I'm Kevin Michalowski, Director of Content for the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. If you want more videos like this, please like this video and subscribe to this channel, because YouTube is actively suppressing firearms videos, and we need your help to defeat the algorithm. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.